have this information. Okay, beginning January 1, agents will be able to register an LLC with the Texas Real Estate Commission in order to receive commissions through that LLC. This LLC per TREC cannot be used for anything else. You cannot own any other assets. You cannot do any investments. You cannot you can't advertise this in any way. So say your team name, you cannot use your team name then, right, to advertise. It would not be able to be, let's go Joyce Baradell LLC, because Joyce Baradell advertises Joyce as a realtor. So it would not be able to be Joyce Baradell LLC. Right? Does that make sense? So the name itself cannot be advertised in any way. It cannot be used to hold any sort of assets. It cannot be it cannot be used for your husband's income to be dropped in there. None of that. The only thing that this LLC can be used for is commissions. Did I miss anything on that, Teresa? I think I hit all of those high points.
No, that's right. That's right.
Okay. And then it has to be an S Corp or an LLC. I don't know the difference in those two because my LLC is an S Corp. So, but we brought in Teresa. Actually, Evan, thank you for introducing me to Teresa, who is an attorney and, you know, has all of the particulars that one might need in creating this type of an LLC that would be only for the purposes of accepting commissions, and we can begin registering those on January 1 with the Texas Real Estate Commission. Evan and I are going to work closely. I know she may be the furthest along in getting her LLC set up. I don't know if anybody else has one that they're considering using. Actually, Diane, you've got one. So maybe we'll use yours as the practice because yours is already set up. Am I right?
Yes, it is.
So we may use yours as the practice for what does this look like through TREC. But I want to watch that process so that I can help agents that are following you coming up doing the same thing. I want to be able to take them through that process step by step. The Texas Real Estate Commission is going to require, help me on this, Teresa, the certificate of formation, which shows ownership, right? To show that the realtor owns at least 51% of the company. So if you own this company with another person, say your husband or spouse, it would have to be, if you own it, say 50-50, it would have to actually be 49-51. So that will have to be provided each year. Classic Realty, I have not seen that TREC is going to require this, except for when you renew, but each year Classic Realty, because it's going to be up to actually, this is not an LLC that will be renewing in any way with TREC. So TREC is probably never, ever going to require this. Now that I think about it. However, Classic Realty is going to require the franchise tax status at the beginning of each year. When you sign your statement of understanding, if you are being paid through an LLC, you are then also going to be required to provide Classic Realty with your franchise tax status, showing that your LLC is still in good standing with the IRS for us to be able to make those commission payments over to you. I think that is all that Classic Realty is actually going to need to do to monitor this moving forward. So, Teresa, let me give you screen sharing really fast.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm not trying to share my screen. I want to give it to Teresa.
Let's see.
Okay. And then Teresa has a PowerPoint thing that she's going to run through for us. And then she's going to be available to answer your LLC questions as to what that needs to look like, what you need to do, how much is it going to cost, any questions that you have like that. And then she will be Classic Realty's preferred attorney. Will be, if any of our agents have questions and want to do this, we're going to say, hey, call Teresa. She's going to help you get that done correctly.
Great. Thank you very much, Lori. I appreciate it. Can you
Absolutely.
guys see my
We can.
PowerPoint?
We can.
Okay. All right. Lori and I were chatting for a minute before the meeting started about Christmas, all the Christmas activities. And my family got together yesterday for well, I thought it was gonna be a light lunch, but I thought the table actually was going to collapse. So today is recovery. Um, my name is Teresa Schiller. I'd like to talk with you for a few minutes about TREC and LLCs. Uh, I'm a business and employment lawyer, and I'm pleased to be speaking with you today at Classic Realty. I'll tell you a quick story about myself. I lived for a year in Japan. I took a year off between college and law school, and I taught English at 6 junior high schools. And every week I was at a different school. I don't speak Japanese, so it was quite a year. And every Friday afternoon, I would go to the school board office, and one Friday afternoon, I walked in, and one of the office ladies who spoke the most English there walked up to me, and she was holding a Japanese newspaper in her hand. And she looked at me gravely and she said, "Miss Schiller, your town blew up." And I thought, I looked at her for a minute. I thought, let me try to figure out, let me bridge the gap here. It turned out that there was a natural gas explosion just outside Brenham, Texas, where I grew up. And it was so strong that it registered on the Richter scale at Rice University in Houston, where I went to school. And the people in the office were reading the newspaper. It made international news. And they recognized Brenham and Rice from my job application. So that's what they told me. And so I tried to call my family, but the phone lines were down. But eventually I was able to get through and find out that they were okay and get some peace of mind. I was worried that my family wasn't protected, and I was worried that that they would be hurt. Uh, we all worry about protection for ourselves and our families, protection from unexpected losses, and protection of our personal assets. Today, we'll look briefly at a new way for you to protect yourself through TREC and LLCs. As Lori said, there's a new law that goes into effect next Monday, and I believe it's good for Texas real estate agents, licensed Texas real estate workers like you. The law makes it easier for you to protect yourself. Simply put, you can set up a business entity to receive real estate commissions, and this will help protect you, and it may give you some peace of mind. So let's look briefly at three aspects of this TREC and LLCs, the new law: who, what, and how. First, let's look at who. The law was passed by the Texas legislature. It's a law that takes effect January 1st, and it amends or changes the Texas Real Estate License Act, TRELA, which governs Texas real estate license holders, and it relates to TREC. Okay. TREC will essentially administer the law. And the new law applies to you as real estate agents, as license holders in Texas. So we've looked very briefly at who. Let's look at what's involved. Okay. Now, as I understand it currently, and just assume I am not a real estate agent, I'm a lawyer, but assume I'm a real estate agent. If I sell a house, I may get a real estate commission. Money may be paid directly to me, goes into my Teresa Schiller bank account. With the new law, if I'm a real estate agent, I can form a business entity a limited liability company or S corp. And in forming that when I form that business entity, I will create a second bank account. I'll create the Teresa Schiller. We won't call it this, but I'll create the Teresa LLC bank account. Okay. Then the real estate commissions will be paid into the Teresa LLC bank account. Okay. Now, if I create this business entity in this Teresa LLC bank account, this law and the fact that I created the business entity will actually help protect the assets in my Teresa Schiller personal bank account. We'll talk more about that. If you create a business entity, it'll help protect your personal assets. So you may want to set up a business entity for yourself, such as a limited liability company, which really is kind of easier and more straightforward than or the kind of the most straightforward of the entities. You can create an S corp, or you can create an LLC and have it treated for tax purposes as an S corp, which may have been what was being referred to earlier. Now, there are benefits to you of setting up a business entity. As I said, one benefit is to help protect your personal assets, your assets in your own personal bank account or other assets that you have. For example, what if, say I'm a real estate agent and I'm representing a buyer, and the buyer gets angry at me and sues me and brings a lawsuit and wins the lawsuit and wins a judgment against me. Okay. If I'm doing, if I don't have a business entity LLC, they'll sue me individually. If I have a business entity, they'll sue the business entity. Say that the client wins a judgment of $100,000 against me. Say that I have $30,000 in my business entity bank account. I have $30,000 I have $30,000 in assets to the business entity. They have a claim for $100,000. Say I won the lottery, and so personally I have $1 million in my personal bank account. If when I was doing the work for this client, I have the business entity, they can only go after that $30,000 to collect. They can't go into my personal bank account to access the 1 million. Okay, so my personal assets are protected. Okay. Now, what might be some reasons? Here are some examples of when there might be a dispute. What if I'm a real estate agent and my client gets angry, feels that I don't follow the terms, I don't do what I'm supposed to do, or I breach an agreement that we have? Or what if I have the client's personal data and there's a hack, maybe a hack on my personal cell phone or something, and the data is stolen? Or what if my client feels that I show him or her certain properties because of housing discrimination, or that I facilitated housing discrimination? These are examples. Hopefully you or I will never be sued, and we will never have to worry about lawsuits, but an LLC helps, or other business entity helps us prepare for that kind of situation. Another benefit of having a business entity is it can help you with tax savings. Okay. So for example, say I set up an LLC and I can elect an LLC. You can elect different types of tax treatment. So say you elect to be treated as an S corporation. You could avoid having to pay certain employment-related taxes on some of your income, on some of your real estate commissions. So an LLC can help with tax savings, or a business entity can help with tax savings. All right, so we've looked briefly at the what that's involved here with this new law. Let's take a moment and look at how. So to set up already have an LLC or other business entity, it's helpful to get a lawyer's assistance. There's paperwork to do. There's paperwork to fill out. And there is, at least for me, there's customary LLC paperwork that I do with the client, and it needs to be tweaked to comply with this new law, relating, for example, to the fact that you're not supposed to advertise with this new LLC, or you're not supposed to own property. So there need to be tweaks to the standard paperwork. Some of the paperwork is for filing, and some of it is for keeping, for your internal kind of governance and corporate record keeping. So some of the paperwork that you would sign would be filed online. Some of it would be filed with the Texas Secretary of State, and that's the certificate of formation that Lori was referring to earlier. You file a document with the Texas Secretary of State to form the business. In addition, there will be, you'll need to register the company online with TREC. And it looks like that registration process will be available beginning in January. So I haven't seen it. There is information as to what kinds of documents you'll need to kind of upload in the registration process. And I looked at an article that Lori kindly sent me, and at least for the people that I help, those documents are part of what I'm already helping people to put together. Okay. Now, you may also, as part of this process, want to consult with an accountant to help you, for example, with the tax treatment, tax savings, get advice on that. After you set up the LLC, there are a few, it's not burdensome, it's not a lot. There are a few annual requirements for maintaining that business entity. Certainly paying taxes, but also there's an annual franchise tax report to file with the Texas Comptroller's Office. And it's good for you internally, even if you're a company of one, to kind of have an annual meeting that you document with minutes or with a consent. And I, for example, can help provide more information about that. What I do sometimes with clients is, a year after I form their entity, I'll send them a draft consent every year, just to look at with a checklist to see what is the business done in the last year, and if there's no big changes, just this consent is fine, good to go. If not, let's tweak it. So there are a few annual requirements. So we've looked briefly today at TREC and LLCs, the new law, who, what, and how. In conclusion, the new law is, I believe, good for Texas real estate agents, license holders like you. It makes it easier for you to protect yourselves. Setting up a business entity to receive real estate commissions will help protect you, and it may give you some peace of mind. So whether our town has blown up or not, we all worry about protection for ourselves and our families, protection from unexpected losses, and protection of our personal assets. So my name is Teresa Schiller. I have my own LLC. Teresa at teresaschillerlaw.com, 254-652-4527. Please let me know if you need my help. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions specifically for Teresa in getting yourself set up to get your LLC registered next week?
How much does it cost to set up an LLC?
Sure. There is a filing fee of $300 with the Texas Secretary of State. With the paperwork, it would be, for me at least, it would be probably $1,000 or less. for the legal fees, maybe less. But the minimum is to file the $300 filing fee when you file the certificate of formation.
I have a question. So I've had an LLC actually for probably about 30 years now. Do I need to apply for another one for as a realtor?
Do you use it really for only your real estate work, or do you use
No,
it for all
I
kinds?
do not. I use it for other things.
It's something for you to talk about with the lawyer separately, but I think that because if you have an existing LLC, there will need to be some paperwork filed with the Texas Secretary of State, kind of that indicates that that your LLC is for a narrow purpose.
Okay.
Like no advertising and
Right.
not owning real estate investments and things. And so if you're using an existing LLC for a variety of things, you may find it more helpful to form a second LLC specifically for this purpose.
Okay. Okay. And also, I also have an EIN. Should I apply for a second one?
If you form, each LLC would need to have its own EIN.
Okay. All right.
Don't know if this is a common question, but when you're paying yourself from the LLC, is that something that's going to be taxed twice?
That's a good question. If you elect to treat your LLC as an S corporation for tax purposes, you can help avoid double taxation. Then the salary, then there are kind of two buckets. One is salary from the LLC, and the other is kind of profit distributions to owners. And the profit and distributions, the salary would still be subject to employment related taxes. I think it's Medicare and Social Security. But the income, the profit, the distributions could pass through to you and not be subject to those employment related taxes.
Which
So
probably for an agent, probably the way that they would most often want to go, but that would be a CPA question, right?
Yes.
So you said it will not pass through on the taxes, but only under the S corp, not the regular LLC?
With an LLC, the money will pass through to you for tax purposes. But it will all I believe with an LLC, it will all be treated as like self-employment, like salary. But with an S corp, I think you can have those two buckets. As you can probably tell, we're reaching the outer limits of my accounting knowledge, but Diana, you may already have an LLC, and I think the information will go kind of be dealt with on your personal tax return, but the number of buckets I think is determined about whether your LLC is treated as an S corp or not.
Okay, thank you. And I had one other question. When I originally got my LLC, at that time, TREC said, my lawyer did not know this, I guess, but TREC said, hey, so you're not a broker. You need to have your broker be as a managing partner on your LLC. So I had to go back and do I filed with the Secretary of State, like a little correction. They let me do that, and that was cheaper to do, but we added him. So do they no longer require you to add somebody if you're not a broker?
So if you are not a broker, no, that is no longer a requirement. The reason you had to add your broker is if you were going to receive commissions through that LLC.
And then this is the legal change, the law changes.
And
You
then,
don't
and
have
then
to.
Governor Abbott said that, quite frankly, he felt like that was a ridiculous requirement.
That is
And
ridiculous.
and so he put this new law into place, which like, I mean, literally in September, was it September or October that this was signed into law? And because I can't remember if it was one of the special sessions or not, but when that happened, I mean, TREC basically had to kick into gear and figure out how to make it work.
So I'm doing the paperwork to remove him from TREC, but then the other night I thought, oh, shoot, then I need to get with the Secretary of State because I had to go through them to add him.
And I have just added Teresa's information in the chat. So if you want to reach out to her and maybe get some guidance and make sure you're doing all of that sufficiently, I've put her contact information in the chat as well.
Teresa, if we want to use you to file, do we just email you?
Yes, you can just email me or give me a call.
And I had recently met with the accountant on this because I was confused at what the change did if you already had the LLC, other than not having to have a broker a part of it. But she also mentioned to me, now if you have this LLC set up, you could be paid on your DA instead of to your personal name. It could be to the LLC. And
That's
it
correct.
would avoid a lot of complications on the accountant's end on how they pay you. If you have an S corp set up, it's more of a streamlined, easier way for them to do the taxes as well.
Correct. That's correct. Yes. If you hire a TC, if you, in any of that stuff, you want to make sure that you are accounting for your expenses correctly whenever you get this set up. I think that's going to be another thing that's going to, that agents are going to have to pay attention to, is the way that you're handling your staging, photography, TC, showing assistant, any of the marketing, dues, any of those expenses that we as realtors, have, which are, they're hefty. And so make sure that you're talking to your accountant as to how you need to handle those expenses as well.
Would those expenses be coming out of the LLC instead of your personal bank account?
Yes.
So go ahead, Teresa. That's probably going to be better for you.
These are, yes, I mean, it's good to kind of keep things separate if you can.
I can add a little to that too. I had that exact same question with our accountant, and she said if you don't already have a designated maybe credit card that you put those expenses on, it's much better. And if you ever got audited or anything like that, anything that you are making money into that LC for commissions, whatever your expenses are for that income, goes on that, only that credit card. And then you can just pull that at the end of the year. All your expenses are on that statement report.
That's a
Yeah, I
fantastic
remember my
idea.
LLC telling me that. Yeah. Say that again, Caesar.
Oh, I said that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, my CPA years and years ago had told me that, which I do now, but I mean, you forget that there was a reason I started doing that. Angela, I saw your little box light up. Did you have something you wanted to say and we missed?
Let's see. I don't know if am I talking?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
ma'am.
Okay. No, I don't have anything. I'm not sure how that lit up.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I get to everybody.
Thank you.
Any other questions or clarification or? We have this recorded. We're going to be sending it back out if you want to watch it again. Everybody reach in there and grab Teresa's contact information out of the chat. We will include that information when we send this recording out. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to send out an email just kind of outlining these are, you know, the restrictions for having this LLC. Diane, are you the one that just fell off? Dang it. I will get with Diane. She may need to get with you, Teresa, on some of the documents too, for adjusting her LLC. But I want to go, since she's kind of further down the road, down the line, I think, on getting this set up. I want to work with her and see what that looks like now as agents are registering these LLCs, so that we can pass that information along and have it available to everybody. Any other questions for either me or Teresa in the matter of setting up your LLC or getting commissions through it or anything like that?
Nope.
No? You muted yourself, Caesar, if you were about to say something.
Okay. One of the things that I did many years ago when I set up an LLC is I also got a EIN.
Yes, you will be issued an EIN with your LLC. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So that's important also. I never give out my social security number. I always give out my EIN, and that makes a huge difference. So people don't steal your identity.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, again, make sure you have Teresa's contact information, and let me and or her know if you have any questions as you're getting yourself set up for all of this. And we're here for you. We're available.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. And
Teresa, thank you so much. I mean, you put this in, I mean, you're able to word it way better than me.
no, the last thing, Lori has been involved, I think, with the kind of
Commission.
the planning and the TREC and you know, kind of the decision making, planning, and so it's been helpful to talk with her and collaborate with her. And y'all let me know if you need anything. Otherwise, enjoy your holiday week.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for spending your day after Christmas with us. And I'll get this Zoom recording out to everyone. So
Okay, take
Oh,
care.
this is
Bye-bye.
completely off. Wait, this is completely off topic. Are you from New York?
I lived in New York City about 11 years.
Okay, because I noticed the 917 number.
That's right. That's right.
I used to
That's
live in New
right.
York.
I got a second line because a lot of people down here don't answer a 917 number because they feel like it's spam from New York. But
Yeah, right.
that's Thank you very much. Take
All
care.
right, you have a wonderful
Bye-bye.
thank you,
holiday.
Teresa. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very
Holler
much.
if you need us. Bye.
Bye.